The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Confederation's Grand Assembly sparkled under the light of 3 alien suns. Dr. Una Park stood with the rest of the human delegation, her hands clasped tightly behind her back to hide their trembling. This was humanity's first official presentation to the assembled representatives of over 200 spacefaring civilizations since Earth had been granted probationary membership status. Admiral Do-Hyun Kim cleared his throat and stepped forward. His ceremonial uniform, designed to project Earth's dignity and accomplishments, suddenly seemed childish among the varied and advanced beings surrounding them. Distinguished representatives, he began, his voice carrying through the translator nodes, Earth thanks you for this opportunity. We are proud to share our recent advancements in propulsion technology that have allowed us to join your community among the stars. A low murmur rippled through the assembly. Una's eyes darted to the Vrax delegation, tall, insectoid beings with gleaming exoskeletons and multiple limbs moving in perfect coordination. Their species had dominated galactic politics for centuries, and their technological superiority was unquestioned. The lead Vrax representative, Ambassador Trell, tilted his head in what Una had learned was an expression of amusement. The human presentation continued with holoprojections displaying Earth's newest faster-than-light drives. Una had helped develop the mathematics behind them, a fact that once filled her with pride. Now, watching the Vrax representatives exchange glances, that pride withered. And so, Admiral Kim concluded, we believe these innovations prove humanity's readiness for full Confederation membership. The silence lasted 3 uncomfortable seconds before Ambassador Trell stood. His translator produced a smooth, cultured voice that contrasted with the clicking mandibles of his actual speech. The Vrax Dominion appreciates Earth's enthusiasm, Trell began. However, what you call innovation, we mastered over 8 centuries ago. Your advanced drives operate on principles that are taught to Vrax juveniles as basic science. Laughter echoed through the chamber, some nervous, some genuine, some merely diplomatic. Una felt her cheeks burn. Perhaps, Trell continued, mandibles flaring in what Una recognized as their version of a smile, humans might better serve the Confederation by focusing on what they do best. Your art forms are quite interesting, and several worlds have developed a taste for your cuisine. Not every species needs to lead in science and exploration. The diplomatic translator softened his words, but the message was clear, know your place. Humans were seen as the galaxy's new pets, amusing, but not to be taken seriously. Admiral Kim forced a smile. We appreciate your guidance, Ambassador. Earth will continue to strive for advancement. Later, in the reception hall, Una sipped a blue liquid that tasted vaguely of mint and cinnamon. She stood alone by a window overlooking the capital city of the Confederation hub world. The other human delegates had scattered, trying to salvage diplomatic connections. They're wrong about us, you know. Una turned to find a small, purple-skinned alien with large eyes watching her. His species name escaped her. I'm sorry, she asked. The Vrax. They've been dominant so long, they no longer recognize true innovation when they see it. I read your actual research papers, Dr. Park. Not just the diplomatic summary. Your theories on dimensional physics go far beyond simple propulsion. Una blinked in surprise. You read my papers on 7th dimensional space? Indeed. The Vrax laughed because they don't understand. They've mastered 3-dimensional space and think themselves gods for it. Before Una could respond, the alien placed a small crystal in her palm and closed her fingers around it. My contact information. When you're ready to discuss real science, reach out. He walked away without another word. That night, in her temporary quarters, Una received an encrypted message from Earth's Defense Ministry. The sender was simply labeled Director. Dr. Park, we watched today's proceedings. The humiliation of Earth cannot stand. Your classified papers on dimensional manipulation have been reviewed by our scientific panel. We believe you've discovered something the Confederation doesn't understand. Something that could change everything. Full funding approved. Project classification, Ultra Black. Return to Earth immediately. Reply only with yes or no. Una thought of Ambassador Trell's dismissive laughter, of humanity being relegated to providing entertainment and food for the galactic community. She typed a single word: yes. 3 months later, deep beneath the lunar surface, Yuna stood before a team of Earth's best scientists and engineers. Behind her, projected on a holographic display, were equations that no Vrax had ever seen. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice steady with newfound purpose, "welcome to Project Parallax. Today, we begin work on humanity's first seventh-dimensional vessel. And when we're done, no one will laugh at humans again." The secret lunar facility hummed with activity as Dr. Yuna Park studied the holographic model floating above the central platform. 2 years had passed since the humiliation at the Galactic Confederation, and every day of those years had been devoted to Project Parallax. "The structural integrity simulations are complete," reported Jaiwo Han, the chief engineer. Her eyes showed the same exhaustion that marked everyone on the team, but also fierce determination. "The hull can withstand the theoretical stress of dimensional transition." Yuna nodded, manipulating the hologram to zoom in on the vessel's core. "And the dimensional field generator?" "Ready for the first full power test tomorrow," Jaiwo replied. "Though I still think we should wait another week for additional safety protocols." Yuna shook her head. "Earth Defense Command wants results now. The Vrax have increased their patrols near our colony worlds. They're becoming more aggressive." The experimental ship took shape beneath the lunar surface, hidden from both Earth's citizens and alien observers. Unlike the massive battleships of the Vrax or the elegant cruisers of other galactic powers, the Parallax was compact and unassuming, a sleek vessel barely larger than Earth's pre-FTL shuttles. Its true power lay not in size or weaponry but in what couldn't be seen: technology to access dimensions beyond normal space. Captain Taehyun Lee entered the command center, his tall frame drawing attention as conversations quieted. As the chosen pilot for the Parallax, he carried the weight of humanity's hopes. "Dr. Park," he greeted with a respectful nod. "I understand we're testing tomorrow." "Yes, Captain." "Are your crew prepared?" Taehyun's expression remained neutral, but Yuna noticed the slight tightening around his eyes. "As prepared as anyone can be for something never attempted before. My navigator Sungo is concerned about the neural interface. The simulation suggested may cause unusual sensory experiences." "That's putting it mildly," Yuna admitted. "When we enter seventh-dimensional space, your perception of reality will change. But your minds should adapt." "Should?" Taehyun raised an eyebrow. "Must," Yuna corrected herself. "Humanity must succeed here, Captain. We have no alternative." Later that night, Yuna sat alone in her small office, reviewing data from the day's preparations. Her terminal chimed with an incoming call from Admiral Kim. "Doctor, I need your honest assessment," he said without preamble. His face looked older than when they had stood together before the Confederation. "Is Parallax ready?" Yuna hesitated only briefly. "The science is sound, Admiral. The question is whether humans are ready for what we'll discover. We don't have the luxury of philosophical debates, Doctor. 3 hours ago, our long-range scanners detected a Vrax battle group assembling near Proxima Centauri. They outnumber our defense fleet 10-1. Yuna felt her heart sink. "Our newest colony." "Yes. 2 million settlers. The Vrax claim they're conducting exercises, but we've intercepted communications suggesting otherwise. They're testing our resolve, Doctor. They think we'll back down." "The Parallax isn't designed as a warship," Yuna reminded him. "No, but if your theories are correct, it doesn't need to be. Can you accelerate the testing schedule?" Yuna closed her eyes briefly. "We can attempt the first dimensional shift tomorrow. But Admiral, there are risks we haven't fully calculated." "Greater than losing our first major colony?" Kim asked quietly. The next morning, the Parallax crew assembled on the bridge of the experimental vessel. Captain Taehyun ran through final checks with navigator Sungo and engineer Jaiwo, their movements efficient despite the tension. Dr. Yuna Park watched from the adjacent control room as technicians counted down to the first test. Dimensional field generator at full power, Jaiwoo reported, her voice steady despite the beads of sweat on her forehead. Field stability at 97%. That's within acceptable parameters, Yuna confirmed through the communication link. Captain, you may proceed when ready. Taehyun's hands moved across the controls with practiced precision. Beginning dimensional shift sequence. Navigator, confirm coordinates. Sungo nodded. Targeting empty space 50,000 kilometers from lunar base. Safe zone confirmed clear. The lights dimmed as power redirected to the dimensional field generator. A low hum built throughout the ship, more felt than heard. Dimensional boundary approaching, Jaiwoo announced. 3, 2, 1. Reality seemed to bend around the parallax. Through the viewports, the stars blurred and stretched, then vanished altogether, replaced by patterns of light and geometry that no human language could adequately describe. In the control room, alarms blared as sensors lost track of the vessel. For 17 terrifying seconds, the parallax disappeared completely from all monitoring systems. Then, just as suddenly, it reappeared exactly at the designated coordinates. Status report. Yuna demanded, her heart pounding. After a moment of silence, Taehyun's voice came through, sounding strange and distant. Test successful, Doctor. We crossed into 7th dimensional space and returned. And we saw things. Things that change everything we thought we knew. Inside the ship, the crew exchanged looks of wonder and disbelief. The Vrax, Sungo whispered. They can't see us when we're there. We're completely invisible to them. Taehyun nodded slowly. Not just invisible. We could see them, from angles they can't comprehend. We could be anywhere, everywhere, and they would never know. Yuna's voice was barely audible as she spoke the words that would change humanity's future. Prepare for Phase 2 testing. We need to know exactly what this ship can do. 3 days after the successful test, Captain Taehyun Lee stood before the hastily assembled War Council in the lunar base's secure conference room. Admiral Kim's holographic projection dominated the center of the table, his expression grim as he delivered the news. The Vrax fleet has increased to 37 warships. They've dropped all pretense of exercises and have issued an ultimatum to our Proxima Centauri colony. They demand we reduce our presence to a scientific outpost only, with no more than 50 personnel. All 2 million colonists must evacuate within 48 Earth hours. Murmurs of outrage filled the room. Dr. Yuna Park remained silent, her mind racing through calculations and possibilities. Their excuse, asked General Mina Kong, commander of Earth's defense forces. They claim we violated territorial agreements by establishing a major settlement so close to their supply routes, Admiral Kim replied. It's nonsense, of course. Those routes were established after our colony was founded. They're simply flexing their power, showing the Confederation that humans can be pushed around with impunity. Taehyun cleared his throat. Sir, the parallax is ready for extended dimensional travel. My crew has adapted to the neural interface more quickly than expected. All eyes turned to him. Admiral Kim's hologram flickered slightly as he leaned forward. Dr. Park, your assessment? Yuna stood. The parallax has completed 3 successful transitions. Each time, we've extended the duration in 7th dimensional space. The ship can now remain shifted for up to 6 hours before requiring a return to normal space. And its capabilities while shifted? General Kong asked. The vessel exists partially outside conventional reality, Yuna explained. It can observe normal space with perfect clarity while remaining completely undetectable by any known scanning technology. It can move at speeds that would appear impossible from a 3-dimensional perspective. And she hesitated, it can selectively interact with normal matter if necessary. The silence in the room was heavy with implication. Admiral Kim broke it. Captain Lee, are you and your crew prepared for a combat mission? Taehyun straightened. Yes, sir. 12 hours later, the parallax departed the lunar base under cover of a routine supply shuttle launch. Once clear of monitoring systems, it activated its conventional FTL drive, heading toward Proxima Centauri at maximum speed. The bridge was quiet as the crew prepared for their first real mission. Navigator Sungo adjusted the dimensional coordinates while Engineer Jaiwoo monitored the field generator's power levels. Dr. Yuna had insisted on joining them, her expertise essential for this unprecedented deployment. "We'll drop out of FTL just outside the Proxima system," Taehyun instructed. "From there, we'll shift dimensions and approach undetected. The Vraks will have their sensors at maximum sensitivity," Sungo noted. "Any conventional ship would be spotted immediately." Taehyun nodded. "Which is why we won't be conventional." The journey passed in tense silence. Upon reaching the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, the parallax slowed to sublight speed. "Vraks vessels detected," Sungo reported. "Their formation suggests they're preparing for offensive operations." "Dimensional field generator at full power," Jaiwoo announced. "Ready for transition on your command." Taehyun looked at Yuna, who gave a slight nod. "Begin dimensional shift," he ordered. The now familiar sensation washed over them, a moment of disorientation as their consciousness expanded to perceive dimensions beyond normal human experience. The viewscreens showed patterns of light and geometry that somehow conveyed more information than should be possible. "Shift complete," Jaiwoo confirmed. "We exist primarily in seventh-dimensional space, with minimal anchor in normal reality." "Navigator, take us in," Taehyun ordered. The parallax moved through space in ways that defy conventional physics. To any observer in normal space, had they been able to see it, the ship would have appeared to teleport, to be in multiple locations simultaneously, to pass through solid objects as if they weren't there. As they approached the massive Vraks flagship, the crew fell silent in awe. From their higher dimensional perspective, they could see the entire fleet at once, from every angle, inside and out. The Vraks moved about their ships, unaware they were being observed from a reality they couldn't comprehend. "I can see their command centers," Sungo whispered. "I can see their weapons systems, their engine cores, everything." "They have no idea we're here," Jaiwoo added, her voice filled with wonder. "We could move through their entire fleet and they'd never know." Taehyun studied the tactical display, which now showed information impossible to gather with conventional sensors. "They're not bluffing. They're preparing for a full-scale assault on the colony. Weapons are charged and targeting systems are active." "We need to report this," Yuna said urgently. "But we can't risk shifting back to normal space here." "We don't need to," Taehyun replied. "Navigator, plot a course through the Vraks fleet. I want detailed scans of every ship, every weapon, every vulnerability. Engineer, prepare to record everything." As the parallax glided silently through the heart of the Vraks armada, the crew watched the alien warriors make final preparations for what they believed would be an easy victory over the helpless human colony. "They're laughing," Sungo said quietly, watching a group of Vraks officers studying holograms of Earth's modest defensive capabilities. "They're actually laughing at us." Taehyun's expression hardened. "Record everything. When we return to Earth, Admiral Kim will know exactly what we're facing." He paused, looking at the magnificent but vulnerable human colony below. "And exactly what the parallax can do about it." The war room beneath Earth's defense headquarters buzzed with urgent activity as Admiral Kim studied the three-dimensional projection of the Vraks fleet. Captain Taehyun's reconnaissance data revealed 37 warships arranged in attack formation around the Proxima Centauri colony. "They'll begin their assault in 6 hours, Taehyun explained, pointing to the Vraks flagship. "Their commander, Grand Marshal Trell, has ordered all weapons systems prepared." "The same Trell who mocked us at the Confederation Assembly?" Admiral Kim asked. "The very same," Dr. Yuna confirmed. "He's been promoted since then. This operation will be his first major command." General Kong shook her head. "Our defense fleet can't reach Proxima in time. Even if they could, they'd be outnumbered and outgunned." A heavy silence fell over the room before Admiral Kim turned to Taehyun. "Captain, can the parallax do more than observe?" "Yes, sir," Taehyun replied. "While in seventh-dimensional space, we can selectively interact with normal matter. We can affect any target without exposing ourselves to return fire. You're suggesting we use the parallax as a weapon? General Kong asked. Yuna stepped forward. Not exactly a weapon. The ship can't carry conventional armaments powerful enough to challenge a Vrax fleet. But it can do something far more effective. Within the hour, the parallax was once again accelerating toward Proxima Centauri, this time with a full crew and a desperate plan. Engineer Jaiwu worked frantically to modify the dimensional field generator based on Yuna's newest calculations. The modifications are complete, Jaiwu reported. We can now project a focused dimensional field beyond our hull. But the power requirements are enormous. How many projections can we manage? Taehyun asked. 3, maybe 4 before we need to recharge, Jaiwu replied. And each will only last 30 seconds at most. It will be enough, Yuna assured them. If we target their command centers. The parallax arrived at the edge of the Proxima system with just 1 hour remaining before the Vrax attack. The crew took their positions as Taehyun gave the order to shift dimensions. The transition was now familiar, the strange sensation of existence expanding beyond normal perception, the remarkable ability to see in all directions simultaneously. The Vrax fleet appeared before them, their massive ships bristling with weapons pointed toward the human colony below. They begun broadcasting their ultimatum, Navigator Sungo reported. Marshal Trell is demanding immediate surrender. On the colony's surface, 2 million humans watched in horror as the Vrax ships moved into final attack positions. The colony's meager defenses, 3 orbital platforms and a handful of interceptors, prepared for a hopeless last stand. Take us in, Taehyun ordered. Position us between the Vrax flagship and the colony. The parallax glided through 7th-dimensional space, completely invisible to the Vrax sensors. It took position directly in the path of the flagship's main weapons array. Prepare for partial emergence, Taehyun said. On my mark, shift only the command section back to normal space. Jaiwa's hands flew across her console. Dimensional field reconfigured. Ready for localized shift. Mark, Taehyun commanded. The forward section of the parallax suddenly appeared in normal space, directly in front of the Vrax flagship. To the aliens, it would have seemed to materialize from nowhere, an impossible occurrence that violated every law of physics they understood. Alarms blared across the Vrax fleet as sensors detected the partial emergence of the human vessel. On the flagship's bridge, Marshal Trell stared in disbelief at the small ship that had appeared from nowhere. Open a channel, Taehyun ordered. The view screen activated to show Marshal Trell's mandibles clicking in agitation. Identify yourselves immediately, the Vrax commander demanded. How did you penetrate our sensor screen? This is Captain Taehyun Lee of Earth Vessel Parallax, Taehyun replied calmly. Your fleet will stand down and withdraw from this system immediately. Trell's compound eyes glittered with amusement. One tiny human vessel dares to challenge the might of the Vrax Dominion? Your bravery is admirable but foolish. You will be destroyed as an example to your colony. Engineer, prepare targeted dimensional projection, Taehyun said, not breaking eye contact with Trell. Marshal, perhaps a demonstration is in order. Before Trell could respond, Taehyun nodded to Jaiwu. The dimensional field generator hummed as it projected a focused 7th dimensional field directly into the Vrax flagship's secondary command center. For a brief moment, a portion of the massive ship simply ceased to exist in normal space, shifted partially into the 7th dimension. When the field collapsed 30 seconds later, that section returned, but its atoms had realigned chaotically, rendering weapons, controls, and structural supports into useless, twisted shapes. Panic spread through the Vrax fleet as the flagship's secondary systems failed. Marshal Trell's expression shifted from amusement to shock. Impossible, he whispered. This violates all known laws of physics. Not laws you know, Taehyun replied. Your understanding of the universe is incomplete, Marshal. We can target any section of any ship in your fleet. We can remove your engines, your weapons, your life support, all without firing a single conventional weapon. To prove his point, he signaled Jaiwu again. This time, the parallax's dimensional field enveloped one of the smaller Vrax cruisers. The entire vessel vanished from normal space for exactly 10 seconds before returning, its crew disoriented and its systems in chaos. "Your next order, Marshal Trell," Taehyun said quietly, "should be for your fleet to withdraw immediately." On every Vrax ship, sensors and tactical officers reported the impossible: the human vessel existed partially outside normal reality, making it invulnerable to their weapons. Several test shots had already passed harmlessly through it, where it remained shifted between dimensions. Marshal Trell stared at Taehyun for a long moment before giving the order that would forever change the Vrax Dominion's view of humanity: "All vessels, disengage and withdraw. The exercise is concluded." The Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with excitement. Representatives from 200 spacefaring civilizations filled the tiered seating, their attention fixed on the central platform where a historic ceremony was about to begin. 3 months had passed since the Proxima Centauri incident, and the galaxy was still reeling from its implications. Dr. Yuna Park stood with Admiral Kim and Captain Taehyun Lee, watching as the Confederation High Council took their places. The three humans wore formal uniforms designed to command respect rather than blend in, a significant change from their previous approach. "The Vrax delegation has arrived," Admiral Kim noted quietly, nodding toward the entrance where Marshal Trell led a group of the insectoid aliens into the chamber. Their usual confident stride was noticeably subdued. "They've been unusually quiet during the treaty negotiations," Yuna observed. Taehyun's lips curved into a slight smile. "Hard to maintain superiority when your fleet retreated from a single vessel." The Confederation president, a tall being with luminous blue skin, raised her arms for silence. The chamber quieted immediately. "Today marks a significant evolution in our understanding of the universe and each other," she began, her translated voice carrying throughout the vast space. "We gather to formally recognize Earth's full membership in the Galactic Confederation, with all rights and privileges thereof." Applause rippled through the assembly, hesitant from some species, enthusiastic from others. The president continued. "The demonstration of seventh-dimensional technology by human scientists represents a breakthrough that none of our combined civilizations had achieved. It compels us to re-evaluate many of our assumptions." She gestured toward the human delegation. "Dr. Yuna Park, the architect of this remarkable advancement, has agreed to share certain aspects of her research with the scientific community of the Confederation." Yuna stepped forward, feeling the weight of countless alien eyes upon her. The irony wasn't lost on her, standing exactly where she had been humiliated years before, now commanding the attention of every advanced species in the galaxy. "Thank you, Madam President," she began. "Earth is honored to join the Confederation as full members. Our journey to understanding dimensional physics came from an unexpected direction." She activated a holographic display showing human brain scans alongside those of various alien species. "During our research, we discovered something remarkable. Human neurological structures process dimensional concepts differently than most sentient species. While this made certain conventional technologies more challenging for us to develop, it provided unique insights into higher dimensions." The chamber remained silent as she continued. "We've discovered that humans possess neural pathways that allow us to conceptualize seven-dimensional space more intuitively than other known species. This isn't a sign of overall superiority, merely a neurological quirk that happened to be advantageous in this specific area of physics." Marshal Trell rose from his seat, mandibles clicking softly in what those familiar with Vrax expressions recognized as humility, a rare sight indeed. "The Vrax Dominion acknowledges humanity's achievement," he stated formally. "We also acknowledge our error in dismissing human potential. The universe has proven larger and more complex than even our ancient civilization understood." After the ceremony, Captain Taehyun found himself in a reception hall not unlike the one where the humans had been marginalized years before. This time, representatives from dozens of species surrounded the Earth delegation, eager to establish relationships with the newcomers who had mastered dimensional travel. "Captain," a voice called. Taehyun turned to find Marshal Trell approaching. Without his full ceremonial armor, the Vrax commander seemed smaller somehow. "Marshal," Taehyun acknowledged with a respectful nod. I must ask, Trell said, his translated voice low. During the Proxima incident, you could have destroyed my entire fleet. Why didn't you? Tae-hyun considered the question carefully. That wasn't our purpose. Earth doesn't seek dominance, Marshal. We seek understanding and cooperation. Yet you built a weapon of unprecedented power. We built a vessel of exploration, Tae-hyun corrected. Its defensive capabilities were secondary. The parallax was designed to study dimensions beyond our normal perception, not to wage war. Trell's compound eyes studied Tae-hyun. Your species continues to surprise us. The Vraks have been spacefaring for 12,000 years. We thought we had catalogued every possible approach to technology. Yet humans found a path none of us saw. Perhaps because you weren't laughed at, Tae-hyun suggested. Necessity drove our innovation. Later that evening, Yuna stood on a balcony overlooking the Confederation capital, watching the unfamiliar constellations. Admiral Kim joined her, offering a glass containing a celebratory beverage. To humanity's place among the stars, he toasted. Yuna smiled, raising her glass. To finding strength in our differences. The Defense Ministry is already planning a fleet of dimensional vessels, Kim mentioned. The technology is being adapted for various applications beyond the original parallax design. And the Confederation has accepted our proposal for joint research, Yuna added. 6 species have already volunteered scientists to work with us on further dimensional studies. Below them, representatives from dozens of civilizations mingled in the gardens. Humans walked among them as equals, no longer objects of amusement but partners in exploration. What do you think they'll say about us now? Kim asked. Yuna watched as Captain Tae-hyun demonstrated something to an attentive group of alien scientists, his hands tracing shapes in the air to explain concepts that transcended language. They'll say humans see the universe differently, she replied. And that sometimes, different is exactly what's needed. In orbit above the Confederation homeworld, the Parallax maintained station, its dimensional technology dormant but ready. No longer a secret, it had become a symbol, a reminder that in the vast cosmos, understanding often came from unexpected places, and that those who were once laughed at might someday change everything.